This feature is extremely useful. You can complete series of data, dates. You can even exclude certain dates. It's fantastic. And if you've created custom lists, then it makes it even more useful. So let's take a look. We've got 3 levels to this. We've got basic, we've got a little more, and then we've got a little bit more. None are extremely difficult. They're all very easy. It's just most people only know the basics. So we're going further and showing more. So the first thing is the basics. Now, if you have a cell, like I'm just going to choose cell A1 and A2, and I'm going to put 1 and 2 in. Then I'm going to highlight the 2 cells. And now we have the selection or the range that we've selected. It's outlined by a thick black line. But if you notice in the bottom right hand corner, you have a small square. And when I place my mouse on this, it changes, which is my autofill. I can click and drag. Now I'm just going to click with my left mouse button. I'm holding the left mouse button down and I'm dragging the mouse. And you can see from the little pop-up tooltip that it's going to populate it. So it saw that 1 and 2 were 1 number apart, and it continued that. And I can do the same with other numbers like 3 and 6. Okay, and I highlight those, get my fill handle, click and drag, and it does that. It sees the relationship between the numbers, and then it continues on. If I have information in the column to the left, then I actually don't have to drag if I just want it to go as far as that column to the left has gone. So I am just going to do 1 and 2 again. I'm going to highlight them and then place my mouse on the fill handle, but instead of dragging, I'm going to double click. Okay? So that was to get the fill handle, and then you double click. Okay, and I can do that with numbers, and I can do that with text, but the problem is it doesn't see a relationship. So it just copies it. Unless I have something like a repeating, and it will just then repeat it for me. Okay, I've used this for, I wanted to create a cleaning schedule. I put the different rooms in and copied them down so they just repeated. Now there's an exception to this rule. In the system, which I'll show you in another lesson, in another video, if you have a custom list that has some text in it, it will use that to populate. So it comes with a few custom lists already in. And January is in that custom list. So you can see that it went from January all the way to December and then January again. Now this also works with the short form of months. And I can start anywhere. So if I start in June and ask it to fill, it will fill. There's also days of the week in long and in short. And you can create your own custom lists, which I will put a link at the bottom on how to do this. So it'll be a different video. And that way, if you have a list you use a lot, you can add it to a custom list. You can create, you can fill quarters, quarter 1, and then I just drag it. You can see I can drag it across as well as down. It doesn't matter. And I can also do a horizontal drag for 1 and 2. So that's the very, very basics. Let's look at more. So if I do a 1, if I type a 1, drag drag that down. I don't know if you've noticed, I have this little flyaway. You can see when I pause on it, it says autofill options. This is called a smart tag, and when I click on this, I actually get options so that I can copy the cells or I can fill the series. I can fill formats or without formats. Two are absolutely brilliant because I can fill without formatting. So say you have a page that somebody's already formatted, or you've already formatted it and you copy cells down using the fill handle. The problem is the formatting disappears because it copies the format. So you might have a nice double underline at the bottom. Copy the values, the double underline disappears, and then you use this smart tag, choose fill without formatting, and the double underlining comes back. If I choose series, it's going to change it to a series. Now I can also do this with dates. Let me put in the 1st of January 2011. And you can see I can copy the cells, fill the series, format only, without the formatting, but then because Excel knows it's a date, I can also fill days, weekdays, or months, or just years. So let me choose weekdays. You can see that it shows the Monday to Friday, and then the weekends disappear. The only thing it doesn't do is get rid of holidays. So if you've got a bank holiday or a national holiday, you're going to have to manually take those out. But this is really useful, and that works for short dates as well as long dates. Any date or any number that Excel thinks is a date. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do put my mouse on the fill handle, but do a right mouse click and drag. But because I right mouse clicked and dragged, I get the shortcut menu. Fill series, so the same thing that occurs when I use the smart tag. But then I've got linear trend, I've got growth, and I've got series. I'm going to choose series, and this brings me a nice pop-up box. You can see it says rows or columns. It knows that I want to go downwards, so it's selected that for me. The type is linear. I could do a trend, but I'm not going to. Step value, this is the increment. How far do you want it to go? I'm going to put a 2 in, and a stop value. I love this feature because if I only want it to go to a specific number or date, you know how sometimes you drag something and it flies way off the screen and you're at row 2000 all of a sudden, and you only want it to go to say 50, you can tell it to stop at 50 and it does. I am going to stop at 10 so you can see. So now you can see that even though I've selected more cells than what I needed, I told it to stop at a certain value and it did. So that was just by adding a number, doing a right mouse click on the fill handle. Notice my mouse is not the thin black cross, it's a white arrow. And I click and drag, and then I can choose series. I then just populate the series box with whichever options I desire, and then I click on OK. So we've got 3 different ways of working. You have a normal fill, which is left mouse click and drag, and then you can take that one step further and use the smart tag, or you can right mouse click and drag using the series and actually control more options yourself. So that's the autofill options. Now, if you found this video useful, helpful, or interesting, please do click on the thumbs up button. And if you'd like to see more videos that I do, please do subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much and have an amazing day.